This week, wanted to talk about dealing with the reality of limitations. One of the places that is probably a good place to start is listing what your limitations might be. To do that, you'll probably want to make a list of what your known symptoms are and kind of start from there. So for me, word finding is one of them. How do I deal with word finding? One of the ways is when I hit a stopping point, when I realize, oh, it's on the tip of my brain, but I can't quite get there. I start thinking of other things related to the thing I'm trying to remember. So it's associative memory basically is an exercise as a loop around and come back the other way. Uh, Another one is fatigue. So that means making a plan for the day, making sure that I get whatever medication I need in order to stay up and keep that routine going. So if I'm going to play with the girls or if I'm going to make sure I get some exercise in, I try to make sure that that's going to happen before my crash. Or I may take my medication a little bit later in the day so that it gets me going a little bit longer into the day before the crash, giving me a good time window to go ahead and get the things done that I want to get done. But the way to do that really does involve having some kind of schedule or a calendar to keep me honest on that. That can get really tricky because I'm terrible about that. Oh, let's see here. Spasms in public, spasms and tremors in public. And if you see some dirt on my hands, I'm sorry. That's because I'm currently working on my car, but broke away to go ahead and knock this out. So I'm waiting on some paint to dry, but that's a whole different video. Um, Tremors in public. What do you do? They can be embarrassing. I have some that are just basically, they look like ticks. Most people shrug them off, I think, as long as I don't call too much attention to them. So, like, if it's my eye is fluttering, I don't just sit there and go, oh my goodness, don't look at my eye. Because really, that makes it more than it has to be. Trust me, most people don't notice half of the things that we do anyway. So if you don't call too much attention to it, and it's kind of like in theater, if somebody accidentally drops something that's not scripted in the play and you just go with it, the audience tends to buy it and just go with it with you. Um, there are some more obvious things. Let's see if I can trigger one. No, if I do this, it'll sometimes hold here, then I have to push it away. Again, trying not to call too much attention to it, but it is something to deal with. And honestly, if I don't, that one particular, if I don't push it back into place when it does tremor and seize, um, yeah, it looks pretty weird for a while, as you just saw. Oh, let's see. Blurry vision. This is one that I deal with quite a bit. That one's trickier because I'll start blinking away, going, "What in the world is happening?" Um, and it hazes, and then I realize, oh no, I just need to start leading with my left eye a bit more. Maybe kind of count on it for more of the focus. Sometimes I'll close that eye so that I can focus on something and get a good bead on it, and then open up the other eye. It comes and goes for me, but it's a good haze there. Um, that one again can be embarrassing because it looks like you're winking at people. Don't do that. Be cognizant of that. Trust me. Um, Other symptoms that I don't have that can be more problematic, sudden, you got to go to the bathroom and you can't hold it anymore. That's something that a lot of people deal with. I know there are some depends, so, different types of things to just that are slim, and modern technology has taken that kind of stuff a long way. So have a plan. Again, be prepared, know what you're dealing with personally, and do what you can to set yourself up for success. Oh, what's another one? Chronic pain and tingling. I just, it's kind of like when you get used to your leg falling asleep when you do a certain thing and then you try to keep walking. I just roll with it. You kind of gimp it, you kind of move it around, work it a little bit, and again, try not to make too much of a show of it. But yeah, you just find a way around it. Drop foot. Drop foot is one that I consciously have to deal with. In that I am when I'm going up the stairs, especially in the morning, I purposefully lift my left leg higher than I feel like I need to. I'm very aware of that, because when I don't, or when I trust that what I'm feeling is normal, especially after I come off of, what would you say, just a rough week for symptoms. Sure enough, I'm going to be going face first into the steps, and that's never good. Thankfully, I can still usually catch myself, but one of these days it's not going to go well. Especially, you got to be careful when you're carrying kids, or carrying things that could just cause more harm. You got to watch out for that. And again, make a plan. If I know I'm having a bad day, I don't carry the kids up and down the stairs. It hurts. It's terrible. I want to carry them up and down the stairs. But is it smart? Some days I'll risk it. Most days I don't. It's just not worth it for me. The other day I had trouble swallowing. Still working on a plan for that one. But typically I'll take a handful of pills, toss them in, drink them down. That didn't work so well that day. So just adapt and overcome. Cut it in half, still didn't work. Cut it down to one at a time. One pill at a time. It takes more time. It's ridiculous. So now, the next day, I afford myself some more time to get all of my medication taken before I go to work. Working with MS can be tricky too, because a lot of these things, especially if somebody starts picking up on a big tremor, like your eye starts closing, or let's just say your face stops working for a while, they won't be as disturbed by it if you're not disturbed by it. If you just shrug it off and say, yeah, sometimes my face doesn't work, but it's all part of just something I struggle with, they tend to go with it. Maybe they'll even ask some questions and try to understand more. I will say, avoiding stigma is a bit tricky, especially if you're working in a very corporate environment where, a lot of the cool kids all grew up and went to work. Tread carefully in those areas, because sometimes you can share too much pretty easily, and sometimes you just want to make sure you're sharing just enough, and make sure you're keeping a read on those around you so you're not really standing out in some kind of weird way. Not that it's your fault at all that you are struggling with something terrible that does show up publicly. That's not, but I'm not a subscriber of the idea that the world should make room for me. There is a world out there, and everybody fights to move in it, and everybody works hard and overcomes all the sorts of challenges that none of us can imagine. Mine happens to be MS, among other things, and other people's, you don't know what they're dealing with. So we're all fighting, we're all struggling to make a home for ourselves in this painful and tough world, but we're all also working to make it brighter. So I don't ask people to bend over backwards for me. I just don't do it. I will ask for help when I need it. I'm not saying don't ask for help when you need it. I'm just saying, be aware. There's a world out there that has a certain perspective on things, and if you learn to move and roll with it a bit, it works out a lot better for everybody, it seems to. I feel like I'm digging myself into a hole there, so I'm going to get out of that one, shift gears, and move on to something else. Nope, I got nothing. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great night. I hope this was helpful. I'd be curious to know what things you use to in the world and how you get around some of the symptoms you deal with. Always open to questions. Let me know if I forgot anything, and see you next time.